Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Johanna, and today I want to share with you some of the finds that I have found in my foraging on eBay. Now, I'm trying to really cut back on my purchases. Even though these were actually pretty inexpensive, I keep my purchases to below $50, usually below $30 at this point. But these are budget fragrances that were budget fragrances even when they were first released. These fragrances are from the house of Huntley, and they are from a line that they did for women in the 1970s called Robin White. I have 3 of them here that I want to share with you. The house of Huntley, as far as my research is able to find so far, goes back at least to 1941. I've been looking at old newspaper ads, and I found that they did aftershave lotion and shaving soap in 1941. And I want to do more research and provide that for you in a future video on the house of Huntley. But today we're going to focus on the 3 fragrances I have geared towards women that were from the Robin White collection. The 3 that I have are fragrance A, fragrance E, and fragrance W. There's also a fragrance C that was released around the same time, which was 1971. And I found that these fragrances were all available and sold from 1971 until about 1976. And at some point after that, the line was discontinued and the house was no longer. So these are all from the early 1970s. And I was wondering about the names for these fragrances. Why were they called fragrance A, C, E, and W? The first 4 that they released were A, C, E, and W, because those are letters of the alphabet, yes, but they're not consecutive letters of the alphabet. It took me several days to figure it out. These fragrances were intended to be budget fragrances. They were available at discount bargain stores such as Kmart and others. And they were geared towards people that might be interested in purchasing more expensive fragrances that were popular at the time, still popular today, and who didn't want to spend a lot of money. In fact, these fragrances were sold for under $1 in most cases. And they had gift sets too, like with dusting powder. They added a few things like to make it a gift set at various times between 1971 and 1976. Right now what I have is just the bottle, 2-ounce bottles, and the boxes. This is the first one. This is fragrance A. This is a 2-ounce bottle, and this is a really nice flocked box. So it has this nice sticker on the front of the box. And this is what the sprayer looks like. It's actually a good sprayer. It works really well. It's very utilitarian, and it gives a nice, wow, I just realized that when you hold the sprayer down, it continues to spray. I usually just do a quick spray, but it has a nice wide spray. Wow. So, fragrance A, in an advertisement in 1971 and 1972, they say that if you like Arpège by Lanvin, then you might like fragrance A. Now the next one, fragrance C, I don't have yet, but it is said to appeal to people that might like Chanel No. 5. So maybe that's why I don't have it yet, because it's hard to come by, fragrance C. The next one I have is fragrance E. And this box is missing its label. But I will use this box to show you that they hand cut this special decorative paper. And this box also has a small red thread remaining in there. And the same with the gold. It is hand cut here. I appreciate this. I think that was very cool that they did that. I think these might have sold for about 88 cents in 1971 and 1972. And then the third fragrance that I have is fragrance W. So fragrance E is said to smell like, yes, fragrance E is said to smell like Estee Lauder. That's what it says in the advertisement. I'm thinking it was probably Estee by Estee Lauder. And I don't know why it's a green color, because the pictures that I have of Estee by Estee Lauder are not green liquid. And I don't have that one. I don't have Estee by Estee Lauder, but I do have Arpege. So I'm able to compare fragrance A to Arpege, and it does not smell the same whatsoever. It really doesn't. Arpege I have here, this bottle. This is Eau de Lanvin Arpege. See if I can make it a little easier to see. There's a reflection on that. But yeah, one reason I think that Arpege and fragrance A don't smell similar is because, as part of my research that I did into the history of the House of Huntley, in 1966, Lanvin purchased the House of Huntley. It was called Huntley Limited at the time, and they purchased it. So in 1971, when these fragrances were released, I believe, they already owned Arpege, and they had full access to the formula for Arpege, so they could have made it a clone or a dupe if they wanted to, but they probably didn't want to. They probably just wanted to appeal to people that would be looking for something similar to Arpege. This fragrance, fragrance A, smells more animalic than Arpege. Arpege is more like of a golden amber fragrance. For me, at least the two formulations that I have of Arpege are not nearly as animalic. And also, Arpege doesn't last as long for me. Just me personally, it doesn't last as long. So I'm not sure. I can't really say which one I like better. I think I like both. But that's cool. They said it's like similar to Arpege, or if you like. It says if you like, and I'll show you the ad here. Maybe at the end of this video, I'll show you the ad. And so then the one that's supposed to smell like Estee by Estee Lauder, fragrance E. This one smells very animalic, very strong animalic, and I believe it has styrax in it. The one that I believe it's supposed to be like, Estee by Estee Lauder, has styrax in it. And whenever I smell styrax in a fragrance, I usually smell something very animalic. And that's how this smells to me. And maybe slightly green. Some spices and definitely aldehydes. It's an aldehydic floral. And then the last, but certainly not least, is fragrance W. And this is supposed to smell like White Shoulders by Evian. This is supposed to smell like White Shoulders by Evian, which I just recently got my hands on. This is my bottle of White Shoulders. I don't think this is a particularly old bottle. This might even be since 2000. So I did compare these two. And I have to say, of the 3 fragrances that I have from Robin White, I like Fragrance W the best of them. This one is very green, floral aldehydic, a green floral aldehydic fragrance. And it definitely has civet in it. And so does White Shoulders. But when I wear them, like what I've been doing for the last few days is spraying this shoulder, my left shoulder with White Shoulders, and my right shoulder with Fragrance W. And there are a lot of differences between the 2 fragrances, especially at first in the top notes. There's more differences in the top notes. This one, Fragrance W, it stands out more. Like it's kind of jarring actually. And that's what I mean by it stands out more than the other fragrances in these 3. White Shoulders is more like blended, milder, but when they dry down, they do have a lot of similarities. So they didn't own Evian, from what I know, and they also didn't own Estee Lauder, but they owned Arpège. But it seems to me like they did not clone or dupe any of these fragrances. They just were like trying to appeal to customers that might not be able to afford Chanel No. 5 and White Shoulders and Arpège and Estee by Estee Lauder. So I like these fragrances. I like all 3 of them, and I would wear them. I haven't had them long enough to say for sure how much I'll wear them. Also, it's a limited supply. These are not hard to get your hands on for a reasonable price, but they're getting harder to find. And so I've already used, they were mostly full. These were all like 90 to 95% full when I got them. And this is Fragrance W. I've used the most of this one. And then Fragrance A. And look at Fragrance E. I think this one was down a little bit more when I got it. But yeah, so these are good quality fragrances. And I like them a lot. I like that they were making them available to people at Kmart because they would be going to Kmart to buy like shoes and socks and clothing for their kids. And they also were marketing them towards family members who wanted to purchase something for mothers, like for Mother's Day and for Christmas. They were gearing their fragrances towards women. The House of Huntley is out of St. Louis, Missouri. And at some point they were bought and distributed and manufactured by a company called Vijon or Vijon. And that stands for, I think, Viola and John, who founded the company. Yeah, they bought the company of Huntley, and they were selling and manufacturing the Robin White fragrances.